Hey gang, John Bacarella here with your Lake St. Clair Fishing Report, brought to you by Sportsmen's Direct. It's June 27th, at least I think it's the 27th, since I've been out of town for a week visiting family down south and doing that big, big I-75 drive and all that. And man, I'll tell you, there's some parts of the country that have been hit pretty bad by this weather, even worse than us up here with our localized flooding. But so pray for those folks down there by Dayton and stuff. What a mess down there. So anyways, I've been keeping an eye on things while I've been gone. I've been watching on Facebook and talking to people up here and trying to catch up since I got back. And it sounds like not a whole lot has changed. The fishing is still really good out there. We've had a little more stable weather. The water temperature's up to about 66 degrees down at Belle Isle when I looked this morning. So with the water temperature being behind at 66 degrees from what it normally is, you can expect those fish to still not be out in like full massive summertime patterns. And I think the bass guys are finding that, because you're going to find fish in as tight as 8 feet all the way out to like 16 feet. You still got a few of those stragglers out there. We've seen some big fish come in the last week that pushing the 6-pound mark that still haven't spawned, if you can believe that yet. But most of the fish are post-spawn now. So you're going to have a few stragglers here and there, but most of those fish are post-spawn. But with the colder water temperatures and with as cloudy and everything as we've had, the weed growth is still really quite a bit behind where it should be going into the 4th of July. So weeds are going to be a key for you out there regardless of what you're targeting. So pay attention to the weeds, and we also have mayflies hatching. Now, even though you're not seeing them on shore here based on the wind directions, there are a lot of fish flies out there that are hatching. So if you focus, if you're a smallmouth guy, you can start to look for those topwater bites out there by those big weed mats. Even the walleye guys, pay attention to where those big weed mats are, because those fish are feeding down below those weed mats, and in some cases, believe it or not, at night and low light conditions, they'll even be up high feeding. So it's kind of a thing this time of the year, is to pay attention to the weeds, pay attention to the mayflies, and also just bear in mind the water's still kind of cold at, upper 60s probably out in the main lake out there in a lot of places. Now, as far as specifics, the St. Clair River is still going strong for walleyes. The whippers, I guess, are tearing them up at night now, finally, so that pattern is really settling in. Jiggers are still catching a lot of fish, and that south channel is really starting to come on now for the guys that are gonna run those bottom bouncers out there. Now, following that line out into the lake, 26, 27, 28, 29, all through there out by the channel, there are fish. Now, when I call out those numbers and say the channel, I know all you guys want to go and run right on the channel bank. And you can do that, and you'll catch fish there, but pay attention to those weed beds both on the Canadian side of the channel, as far as a mile from the Canadian side, and then on the American side as far in as maybe a couple of miles. So watch those weed beds that are coming up out there and pay attention to them, and run your cranks and bottom bouncers out there. Use your electronics. Pick up those weeds, pay attention to the details, and you're going to catch fish out there. Now, I'm going to go into a little bit of a kind of a detailed explanation of one of the ways that I like to target these fish out here this time of the year, especially with the weeds being a little bit behind and with all the wind that we've had. And this is for you perch guys too. That's right, I said perch, because we don't have too much of a perch report going on, although a lot of guys are picking up perch out there when they're trolling those harnesses, especially for the walleyes. So I'm going to give you a little tip here on one of the ways that I like to fish, especially out in that no man's land out there of the great abyss, like between the American shoreline and the channel. So when you're out there and you're trolling your bottom bouncers, and you're starting to get those perch bites, and maybe you're picking up a few walleye out there, throw out a marker on those spots. And I mean throw a marker out right on the spots. If you want to use your waypoints on your GPS, you can, but this is one of those times where being Johnny on the spot is really important. So for all you guys that ice fish, you know how much of a difference it can make being 5 feet from one guy to another, right? Well, the same thing can happen out there, and does happen out there when you're fishing open water too. And those markers, the more precise you can get those markers right on the spot, means that you can come back when you're not trolling or drifting, and you can pick those spots really carefully. They might be an inside corner, they might be an open pocket, they might be a weed edge, whatever they may be, but those markers are going to mark those spots very precisely. So you can drift, pick up those fish, throw those markers out, troll, pick those fish up, throw those markers out right on the spot, okay? And then you can come back and you can cast those spots, or you can slip bobber those spots. You can vertical jig those spots depending on water clarity. If you're a perch fisherman, you can anchor upwind to those spots and then drift back within the range and throw slip bobbers or pitch your drop shot rigs or what have you, and you can really tear those spots up. Now, that's what I like to do this time of the year out there with those newly emergent weed beds and those fish starting to school up around those weed beds. So that's just kind of one of my tips for you guys that may be struggling. I will try to do a more in-depth video on that exact technique a little later here, but just wanted to give you a quick, quick synopsis of what you can do out there to help you catch more fish this time of the year. With that said, I think that's all I've got for this week. I'm hoping the weather holds out and we don't hit some big boomers with these. We're going to have some temperature changes coming, it looks like. And you guys get out there, you have a great one, and enjoy the warmer actual summertime weather that we have. Hey, if you guys really enjoy this content, please click the subscribe button and the bell icon so that you can make sure that you don't miss any new updates.